Well, you see here is a picture of Miss Taraji P. Henson talking on an interview with Gayle King, complaining about how much money she's not getting in Hollywood and crying about it. Well, let me just preface everything I say with one thing here going forward. I have a hard time being sympathetic to feminists, and black feminists in particular. And I'm going to say right why, my reason as to why. It's because, first of all, feminism historically had nothing, in at least in the United States, I'm not talking about all over the world, we're just talking specifically about the America, United States of America. There has been no patriarchal system in place that supported black men in this country. Okay, there's never been any such thing as a black patriarchy. Really, you can make the case for it within a family structure, but that's usually a chosen by the overall family to operate that way because it's in its best interest in reality. But that's another conversation. The fact of the matter is that this whole idea, this oppressive patriarchy, black men have some stock in it is a joke. There's never been a black patriarchy. And I've gone over statistics before about why that'd be impossible for there to be a black patriarchy in America, at least in this particular position. It would be impossible. But the thing is, this woman's a millionaire. She's complaining because she's saying she's not getting enough money. Now, she just did this movie, this Color Purple remake slash musical, which the premise of the first movie was garbage anyway. I mean, just based on the fact that it was a movie basically to just pretty much say that black men ain't shit historically and, you know, pretty much demonize black men as much as it possibly could, you know. So, congratulations. But anyway, so who were the producers, at least from what I found, this allegedly, is Quincy Jones, Oprah Winfrey, Steven Spielberg, and someone named Scott Sanders. Now, I don't know much about Scott Sanders, but I do know Steven Spielberg did some movies, some real famous. He's famous for sure. Then you have Quincy Jones, definitely famous, and Oprah famous in her own right. And I'm not sure this guy, obviously, he's got some money. He's a big investor in this thing. So my point is that you join on a project, of course, that's because you have no problem with anything that vilifies or belittles black men. You mean it's all in fun and all in jokes, Like they say, it's all fun until the rabbit gets the gun, right? But anyway, she's crying about the math ain't math and all this other stuff. I'll tell you what. I think that Taraji P. Henson can be part of a case study in feminist buyer's remorse. Because I think that Taraji bought into this girl power, narrative and, down with patriarchy and, just basically the hubris and this sense of this grandiose sense of self that I think that women like Taraji P. Henson have had in Hollywood and other places, and not just black women. Some white women too have shown themselves to be very. They love to project, this whole narcissistic term, but they're really some of the most narcissistic people in the world in reality, because everything revolves around them, and about their freedom and their rights and all that stuff. But many of them are the biggest hypocrites in the world because they have no problem with trampling on men's rights and allowing men to take on burdens of responsibility that should be theirs. Or it should be at least a 50-50 responsibility since they claim they're about equality. But that's more talk than it is actually, sport with action, obviously. But anyway, so Taraji's up here, I think like a lot of these other wannabe feminists have found that society at their age and when they sit there and look at how they went around here strutting their stuff and, acting like their shit didn't stink and, everything's all jokes, you were proverbially rubbing black men on the head. There now, be good. While the black women, while we succeed and show you how it's done. I mean, she had that kind of energy, man. And it's like, how does that work out for you? So now you want people to be sympathetic because, you know, you're getting out leveraged on the deals of the which you feel like you should get for these movies. But here's the problem. Obviously you have no leverage. And if you do, then why have you not exercised any of it? And if you haven't exercised it, there's a reason. You don't necessarily have to tell the reason, but at least you can explain that to be fair to the people you're criticizing. Okay? Which to say is that you could do something about it, but you won't. Maybe there's a reason that you're scared. It could be. This is all hypothetical. None of this could be true. I'm just making this up out literally out of whole cloth. I'm just saying that if you want to make the argument that, you know, she has the ability, she does have leverage, because, you know, there's always going to be somebody who's going to be a contrarian or somebody who's going to want to somehow defend someone like Taraji P. Henson, you know, like, oh, well, no, she got leverage, but they don't realize her leverage. Well, guess what? If you can't make it, if she can't make it real and they can't make it real, then it's not going to be real in her pay. Okay? She has to be able to show in the market her value to this project, what she brings to the project. And I don't care what she says. I don't see in the papers. Well, I'll tell you something. I've seen some movies that Taraji P. Henson's in that I have really no interest in. I watched a few of those movies that she was in. And one, I say, probably my favorite one was Hustle and Flow. And that wasn't really because of her role. It was because of, you know, Terrence Howard, obviously. But again, you know, we're going to sit here and talk about, you know, a person who I believe somebody on TikTok actually showed a picture of some of the houses that she sold. And one of them, I think, was worth, if this is right, allegedly was worth $6 million. Right? One of the homes she owned was worth $6 million. Now, lady, let me say this to you, or any one of y'all, okay? A lot of you, and this is what I mean by the feminist buyer's remorse, is that I think a lot of these women that are in Hollywood that have this feminist mentality are finding that they're, you know, the whole Me Too movement and Time's Up, that helped probably get a few more crumbs or a little bit of extortion money to some people who were in that position where they could. I really don't think that, you know, I'm not saying that some of the stuff isn't true. Obviously, there are people who have been subject to sexual improprieties and misconduct at the workplace. I mean, that's just a fact. We know that happens, but just because something happens does not mean that it happens so disproportionately that where it's like one group of people are now going to be demonized as monsters. All right? And society has no problem doing that to men because they'll always have to be potential monsters. And that's potentially what things like the Duluth model, you know, and these real extreme misandrist ideologies. See, that's the thing we don't talk about. We talk about misogyny and everybody's a misogynist or you hate women because you don't support feminism and all this other stuff, right? It's the same playback that, you know, everybody's using when they want to shame people out of the conversation. And we know one right now, one country which we've been giving billions of dollars of our tax money to, who wants us to fund a literal genocide. But we won't, if you guys, you know, catch my drift, we don't need to say any names, but we all know what's going on. We're paying attention to anything going on as far as our U.S. tax money and what's going on across the world where it's being basically funneled to, right? So the point is that, you know, these women feel like that they are worth what they think they're worth. But the problem is, you're worth what the market says you're worth. So you can say that you're gracious in everything you do all you want to, but it's only gracious if, you know, you're giving it away. I mean, look, you very well may be giving away for less than what it's worth. But what I'm going to tell you is, if you had any leverage, or two, maybe you had as much value as me. Maybe if you had as much value as you believe you have, you'd be able to get more money. But, you know, and I'm not going to say there's not people in Hollywood. I'll give you, for example, Amy Schumer is one person who I think is overpaid, but that's another conversation. All right? So I'll just put that out there. But I think that a lot of these feminists have a hard time with humility when they realize that they made a grave mistake in thinking that, you know, they were entitled to things. In a lot of ways, a lot of them have an entitlement complex. They do. That's what I see in them anyway. I'm sure I'm not alone. It's like they're supposed to get these things because they're women, because they're oppressed, and because society. It's really handout oriented at the end of the day. Some of those things they can earn, they just feel like they shouldn't have to be in that position. But guess what? When you just let people just use ideologies or statements and they can just use them as shields, then you have people like Amber Heard and some other types that will utilize the whole movement as a shield, and there's going to be fraudulent players, as there still are. That's the only thing we need to acknowledge. We can acknowledge that there's some real offenders, but then there's, like, I'll give you an example. Mr. Danny Masterson was convicted of 2 rapes, and he's doing, I think, like 30 years, right? This is a white guy that was on, I think. If I'm saying this right, if I'm wrong, somebody quote me, send me a comment. So I think he played in, I want to say, The Wonder Years. I could be wrong about that, but I want to believe he played in that. But anyway, you heard a little bit about it, but it's pretty much not been talked about. It's been more or less tucked and brushed under the mainstream media. But I can tell you, I talk about, some other people all day long, even people that weren't convicted just on speculation. But not a whole lot about Dave Masterson, all right? Not a whole lot, but he definitely got hit. But you don't hear much about that, all right? And I'll be honest with you, I don't think there was even that much coverage of Harvey Weinstein when he got convicted, because I think it was kind of almost like a shock that he did. Well, you know what? Sometimes you do one thing too many, move roll one bridge too far, and then you fall off a cliff. And I think that's what happened with Mr. Weinstein. Is that if you want to take my Mr. Weinstein still got away with probably raping more than dozens of women on some level or another, and never doing a day in jail for it. And the problem here is that he was in New York, and even though he gave money to like side bands, right, and all that stuff didn't help him in the long run, right? He ultimately still ended up having to go to court, and then he got caught, I guess, in communication trying to get pull with people like Mayor Bloomberg and Jeff Bezos or something along those lines, so that allegedly. So that's another thing. But I think these women have gotten to the point where, again, they have a hard time with humility, and they have a hard time admitting that they made a mistake, made a big mistake in their lives, and decisions that they made, what they thought that they were versus what they actually were. And now, again, they're having feminist buyer's remorse, because I think ultimately, if not all, most women will find as time moves on that maybe whether they realize it or not, they'll be experiencing feminist buyer's remorse. Some people anyway, because they're going to realize that a lot of this stuff they've been lied to. It's delusional. It's insane. And it's dysfunctional. It's perverse. It's perverse from nature, a lot of the stuff that they want to push down your supposed society anymore. It doesn't even go in the natural order of things. But then they'll play the game of what's nature, and these people they didn't create themselves, but they have the answer to everything, and that they can just decide that there's as many genders as somebody wants to be with. One person can say, I'm just going to choose not to be a gender. I mean, we just got a lot of insanity going on here, man. And the thing is, these people like Taraji P are up here crying about the wages. I don't know what she thinks is that this is going to help her get money, but I think if anything, it's going to do quite the opposite. But I'm going to tell you guys an interesting note. I went on to get a picture here, like the picture you have here, her here complaining, crying. I had a much better picture. There was 2 frames of her, 2 different frames of her crying, and I believe that one because the video I did, the recording didn't come out. Because again, I'm a new content creator. I'm still learning, how to move these levers and switches to get the results I want as far as production quality. So just bear with me, but I will get better, I promise. But I just want to make sure that you guys can hear me, understand me vocally, and this way we can, this is the best way to start. And as long as the information I'm talking about it has some substance, it's gonna bring you some value. But I digress. But yeah, I think Taraji, a lot of these women have a hard time swallowing their pride and realizing that they had an overinflated sense of ego. They really did. And I will say that, some of it may not be their fault because society has really geared itself to tell women that they're special and that they're better than men and stuff like that. A lot of that's been going on for a long time. And, some women ate that up, like, ate that alive, and Taraji P. Henson was one of them. And, you know, now she'll be probably one of the same women that'll be asking black men to please support me, because this sister should be getting what she should be getting. But the question becomes really, how much did Taraji support black men? And I don't want to hear this crap about somebody got up and cheered and protested for you. Did they put any money on your books? Did they do anything to give you a position? Did they open any doors for you? Did they do something or get organizations to work together to try to help you legally, or whatever the case may be? If they didn't do those things, then I don't want to hear shit about them saying your name publicly. Okay? Because to me, that is just, them days are over, okay? It's okay to bring awareness because that's all protesting does. But once you get past that, especially nowadays, it's easy to demonize protesters, because they'll use the situation of Black Lives Matter and they'll call, unfortunately, we know that people are doing this on purpose too. They'll call any black protest organization or any black protesters Black Lives Matter when in fact they're not even Black Lives Matter. They're just some black protesters that are just, as far as Foundation of Black Americans are concerned, trying to unify on common issues that they all have. Or more commonly have than most people that they want to deal with. It's the same thing everybody else does. Right? We just, unfortunately, don't have the benefit of having a flag or a nation that we can refer to, because the thing is, we're not really just a race. We're an actual ethnic group. We have a unique experience from other blacks from other places because we are actually not black immigrants. We're not immigrants in this country. That's the fact of the matter. And there is a difference there, and that's why you can't just take Jamaicans, Haitians, Dominicans, Puerto Ricans, all these other groups and say, okay, because they have some black African ancestry, well, okay, we're all black, so, we're black and brown, so, we can just be treated the same. No, we can't be treated the same. Matter of fact, we have to be treated unique for as unique as our particular experience is in these United States. So before anybody sits there and says, well, what about this? No, we're talking about America, asshole. Don't try to do this deflection argument, okay? We'll talk about what went on in this country. They can deal with their problems. How about that? There you go. But anyway, Taraji, really, it's just cry me a river. We're all supposed to be upset because Taraji's upset because she ain't getting paid what she was paid. Like, I don't know, she thinks this is going to help get her leverage, shaming. He's going to, no, but anyway, I'll probably do quite opposite, especially with somebody like Oprah, from what, some of the people in the business say about her, Monique being one of them. So, we all know apparently that Oprah is not, she's a heavy hitter, okay? And, she ain't somebody you want to cross because she can, make things not very comfortable for you. You know what I'm saying? Apparently, she got some pull, and for if it could be for some bad reasons that she has it, but it doesn't matter if she still has it and she exercises it. So I think this was a bad move on Taraji's part, and I also think, I don't know. I'll be honest. I'm not sure she's going to learn from her mistakes. I don't, because a lot of these Gen X females with the feminist mentality, they are some of the most hard-headed women in the world. Okay? They really are. Maybe comparable, next to the boomer women, but I'll tell you, they are definitely. But I mean, really, there's a lot of them that are single, divorced, and everything else now. And the thing is, when they say winter's coming, winter has come for a majority of them. The rest of them better be trying to latch on to something good for the rest of life and tell that and show their gratitude every day for the rest of their life. That's what they should do. If they happen to get bailed out of a lot of their egregious behavior that when they were younger that led them up to be in the position they're in now, right? So all I can say is, you know, again, I have a hard time being sympathetic towards people who see another gender of people as less than, but then claim that they're the ones being perceived as less than. You know, that's the thing that's amazing about the whole thing is that, they're not, but they can say condescending things and, you know, all this other stuff, and it's all kiki and kaka. But man, as you make a little slight that points out maybe some of the dysfunction that goes on with that group of people, you're a misogynist. Oh, now we're going to sit there and poo-poo you and wag the proverbial finger at you and call you all kinds of names and try to embarrass you, and try to make you run in the corner because you're a man, you're saying things, so automatically I treat you like you're a dirtbag. I mean, really. So I don't know how they think they're going to have. Again, even there's a lot of simps in my generation. Right? I'm a Jackson too, but here's the reality: a lot of those simps are still reformed to a degree because maybe not enough of them. And I know somebody might argue otherwise, but I think at least enough of them have realized that they've wasted their time being simps. No, don't get me wrong, some of them haven't still. But I'm saying I think that the fact that you have the red pill space is filled with a lot of Gen Xers to tell you that there was a lot of lessons learned in that generation as far as what women are and what they aren't. Okay, because a lot of us we got sold a bag of goods of this sugar and spice and everything nice mentality, and it could have been further from the truth. As a matter of fact, some of these women, when they want to make the case for how bad men can be, I can tell you, some of these women can be just bad men, hell, worse, because they have opportunities to do things that men don't do just for the virtue of being a female. Okay? So, but anyway, I don't think Taraji is due any sympathy from the black women or the black community in general. Okay? Let me just say that up front. Well, to closing off, let me say that. Because first of all, I think that Taraji P. Henson has probably feels that she should be able to live on a certain level. Like I said, that entitlement mentality. She not has been able to do it financially, so she's still probably spent her way to still trying to uphold that image. Because a lot of these feminists also are ones that'll sit there and say, "Oh, we don't dress the way we do to impress men, and maybe to impress other women." So it's like, okay, so you're competing with other women. You're not competing with men. But then again, you are competing with men because you're like trying to basically, again, talk the men down or shame them if they dare to, stand up to a woman or to, challenge them on something where they feel like that, you know what I mean? Then it becomes that type of thing. But see, again, they've been trying to have both ways for a long time, and they're getting older, so therefore their beauty is, dissipating to a degree, some more faster than others. And look, the type of roles, think about this too about when it comes to Taraji P. Henson. What kind of roles has she played in her career that can show you that she has this massive versatility to play these roles? Like, I mean, she plays usually kind of like Tiffany Haddish, mainly kind of ratchet chicks, and that means you're pretty much being, put into a tight position. I mean, you're typed as, okay, we can always use you for a ratchet role, but we don't want you to be maybe a supporting actress that's a star or anything like that. Not really, you know. But again, they play these roles in these movies now. If they were wanted so much more, they should be trying to push for they should push for better scripts, for more advanced movies, things that are actually going to be enriching to the black community. Since she claimed that she's so gracious, well, then ma'am, be gracious and try to get a script for a movie where you can actually show something in black history that's positive, instead of this whole thing where we don't have a problem with stepping on top of black men. That's cute, but but I still expect to get paid for something that's probably not going to do all that well, to be honest with you. Because I think we're already tired out of Color Purple. So all you're doing is trying to revisit something that it's not going to stick. And one of the main reasons I'm going to stick is because of things like the manosphere and red pill community, because and like all these things that came off of all this years and decades of pushing feminism down our throat to where these guys have finally said, okay, enough is enough. We haven't had a voice, and now we're going to have a voice. We're going to have our say on this issue, which of course nobody ever wanted. That's really why there's so much pushback from advertisers, and that's why you got all this other woke ass so-called business algorithms that aren't business algorithms. They're just socially engineered tyranny to where, okay, we're going to push this culture imperialism. We're going to push this down your throat. It's not. It's nothing. ESG and DEI, all this nonsense. It's nonsense. It goes against what the principle of how business is supposed to look to gain profit, not look to try to tell people what they should and shouldn't value. Okay, originally the way businesses, they molded their brands to support what the society was doing, what the society valued. Instead of telling what they valued, they gave them the value what they wanted. I mean, I thought that's how a market's supposed to work. But again, we don't have the kind of capitalism to even call it capitalism at that point. At this point, it's like it's capitalism for some people, and it is communism or so-called socialism for others, as they want to say it. Because the reality is, you know, they're not giving us, the value at the bottom here. Let's be real. And she complained because she ain't getting maybe, certain actors or comedians money. She's not getting, you know, Will Smith money. She's not getting, money that these other actors and actresses are getting. They're supposed to be big, critically acclaimed actresses and actors. She's not getting that money. She's not getting Dave Chappelle money or Chris Rock money. But I bet you behind the scenes, you ask some of these women, they'll tell you that they should, because everybody should recognize what they bring to the table. That apparently, that's when you look at how much the movie actually gains and pays out what it costs to make the movie. Then they're going to ask themselves, again, if you have leverage, then you know what? Utilize your leverage, or walk away from the project till you get what you know you're worth. Walk away from these little little ratchet coon projects. Okay, these buffoonery projects they want to have you on, and go get a different script. That's what I'm saying. All this is not on everybody else. A lot of this is still on Taraji. Okay, and like I said, some of these females in this generation, that generation, in their 50s or older, they're not going to learn, unfortunately, because they're too prideful, too stubborn to admit to themselves that they wasted years of their life trying to, be a part of something that didn't actually benefit what you really in your heart was interested in. You spent too much of your time being told that that's a weak position and that you're sending us back 100 years because you might want to be a traditional housewife or homemaker. You might want to do that. So somehow, they'll support you until you do something they feel is you giving the man any type of power, whether he deserves it or has earned it, or he has these excellent leadership qualities that he's respected for. Because in reality, these women want you to be in control, even though it's not their relationship. Case in point, Simone Biles and her husband. These women were furious about some nonsense because something this man said that was true. And they felt some kind of way about it. But you know what? Somehow, because they did, Simone was supposed to. Whether it was in truth or not. But again, well, Taraji, suck it up, buttercup. Because it's not going to get easier. And to be honest with you, I think you coming out here in these interviews talking about who's not paying you and the math ain't math and they're playing in your face, you do all that. I'm telling you, I don't think it's going to help. I really don't. You might have shot yourself in the foot. You might get a few more projects because some of these feminist producers may give you some little roles, but guess what? That might be it at the end of the day. If you do that, you know what I'm saying? But I'm sorry, but to me, some of the stuff you do doesn't have the value that you claim it does. First of all, this movie that you did didn't have the value. This one you just did, this musical, this remake of Cover, that definitely wasn't. I won't be going to go see that. And I'll tell you something else too. I wouldn't be going to see movies like The Woman King and all this other stuff. I mean, all this stuff is basically emasculating females, and we're all supposed to be good with that. We're supposed to be good with men being effeminized, but we're supposed to act like we don't see it, right? Anyway, so Rozzy, you're just gonna have to either take what you get, like the rest of us, or you're gonna have to make your own lane. Start producing your own moves. But if you try to do that, or people, you're not gonna get paid the money that because you're gonna have to pay out. You have a sort of responsibility. That's the problem. With some of us. Some of us don't want the responsibility to create our own lanes. So we claim we want equality, but then when it comes to quote unquote building, you don't see a lot of these women, these feminists in particular, building, do you? Because the men are the ones that create the infrastructure and we maintain the infrastructure. That's just a fact. So the men are the natural builders of this society. Let's just call it what it is. Why actually giving men credit, or actually saying not even that it's credit, but just saying something that's intrinsically known or you can observe is true in society, somehow we still should back away from that. That in itself I see as a form of misogyny. Because when it like almost a pause for someone to say that men actually do something or run something because it's in their nature. Because at the end of the day, let's be real, there's nothing stopping women from being rig hands or anything else. It's just the abilities. Okay, we keep wanting to pretend that men and women are equal in every way. We're not. There's a reason why there are men, and there's a reason why there are women. There's a reason why there are males and females. Okay? The difference makes a difference. See, that's the thing. The all thing they want to do in this whole intersectional culture is celebrate similarities or make everything the same, but they don't want to acknowledge there are any differences. Like we shouldn't celebrate those differences just as well as we do the similarities. That's how distorted and perverted this and ridiculous how degenerate society has become. So, well, all I can say is hopefully we won't have to watch Rome burn, but probably needs to get a few singes, for the stuff that we've been going on in the last so many years. Or it's just become now where they want to, make, debauchery into, a high class or an okay thing. But anyway, it's gonna be all right, Taraji. If you know what though, if you quit, you got no blame yourself. I know you'll probably try to sue somebody in Hollywood, maybe, but it probably won't. That it probably won't work. I think if you do anything, or at least you should know, that you're going to tank your career, because unless you got anything substantial to go against some of these producers or whatever the case is, you feel like, listen, if you sign that contract, guess what? That's what you get. They're not obligated to get anything more. If they owe you, then yes, take them to court. All right. If they did not honor the contract, then yes, take them to court and get your money. But otherwise, you come up here shedding tears, doing the Justin Bieber, not Justin Bieber, Justin Timberlake, Cry Me River. Look, I'm not going to debate on whether I feel like it was crocodile tears or whether it was real or not. But either way, it doesn't help. It makes you look pathetic and really weak, to be honest with you. Where's all that black girl magic and woman power? What happened to that? We definitely ain't seeing it with you being up there like that too much. You think about quitting because you're not getting the money and you're gracious. So even then, with all the complaints you got, you still are, saying about how gracious you've been with your time. You still have that arrogant tone. You still haven't really gained humility yet, clearly. So I hope that, to be honest with you, will, because I think that'll help you to understand that maybe you should come down to earth with everybody else and realize that you're going to have to maybe, budget your money. You're not going to be able to live with your means like everybody else. And if you're a millionaire, then guess what? You're not going to get very much sympathy from most people. Okay? That's just reality. You're going to have to find some leverage, or if you don't have any, you have to get some somehow. And you're just going to have to work it out. Okay? That's what men have to do every day. And nobody gives a damn. If a man comes and complains about it and say, shut it up, cream puff. That's what they're going to say. And put your big boy pants on and do what you got to do. roll your sleeves up. That's what they're gonna tell a man. So there's the equality that you claim you wanted, but something tells me that wasn't really equality what you wanted. So what you really wanted was superiority and to be able to act with impunity or act without, you know, any consequences for your actions. Well, that's not equality. Not even in the sense of the word. So look, you may again. She's gonna have to learn like a lot of these other feminist-minded women. At some point, you're going to have a lesson in you're going to be humbled. You're going to get a lesson in humility, and you can pretend you didn't eat the cake or not, but you're going to bite down at some point. And whether it tastes good or not, it's probably not gonna. But guess what? It's going to be your obligation to eat that because you served it to yourself. You served yourself a nice cold dish of reality that you didn't want to face. But the best thing for you to do is, you know, if a lot of these feminist-minded women have that epiphany, the right epiphany they need, then maybe they can learn from mistakes. But otherwise, you're gonna have a hard road when you get older. It's probably not gonna end well. I don't wish anything on them, but at some point here, you gotta take personal accountability. Now that is truly being empowered. Amen.